The episode begins with Spartacus alone, preparing for training. He dons his armor, securing the memory of Sura beneath his manica. In the square, his ferocity in combat is quickly checked by Doctore, who corrects him harshly for charging in without strategy. The moment is humiliating, with Crixus and Barca mocking him, but it sets the tone. Spartacus must shed the habits of a wild soldier and become something far more disciplined, a gladiator. Following this, the men receive news of the upcoming Vulcanalia festival. 20 fighters will be selected to battle, culminating in a climactic Primus match. Though no names are officially announced, everyone expects Crixus will headline. Spartacus, still finding his footing, is not even in consideration. Meanwhile, inside the villa, Batiatus fumes. He has offered everything to please the magistrate, yet hears that Solonius, his rival, has stolen the man's attention. Lucretia, ever calculating, sees opportunity in the situation and focuses her energy on seducing Ilithyia, Glaber's young and impressionable wife. Back in the ludus, the air is thick with tension and stories. Gnaeus runs dice games. Barca is revered as a legend, and Varro shares his brutal origin story, forced to kill his own father in the arena. Spartacus questions the glory of such tales, but Varro reminds him that in the arena, truth is often replaced by spectacle. Still focused on finding Sura, Spartacus presses Batiatus once more. He is told she was sold to a Syrian merchant, perhaps sailing the Orontes. Yet when Spartacus dares to ask more, Batiatus explodes, reminding him that nothing comes free. If Spartacus wants her, he must earn her with blood. Soon after, Lucretia shops for jewelry and uses Naevia to model the pieces. The moment is small, but revealing. Lucretia's obsession with status and Naevia's quiet grace will both be important in time. Crixus, meanwhile, finds himself infatuated. Back on the training ground, Spartacus' binding falls loose. Doctore ridicules him before the men and forces him to his knees in the wet sand. The laughter of his peers echoes in his ears. Even Crixus is summoned in that moment for another round with Lucretia. Along the way, he tries to speak kindly to Naevia, but she rebuffs him coldly. In her eyes, gladiators are just beasts in cages. Later, Doctor supervises sparring once again. Gnaeus overpowers Cursor, and the class is introduced to the two-fingered surrender, a symbol of survival and shame. Spartacus mocks the gesture and finds himself punished once more. He and Varro are thrown into the garbage pit. There, in the sludge, the two men truly bond. Spartacus finally admits the truth. Batiatus has promised to find Sura, and that is why he fights. Varro understands, revealing his own love, Aurelia. Both are not chasing glory, but redemption. Later that night in the baths, the Vulcanalia matchups are announced. Crixus will fight in the Primus. Spartacus and Varro, however, are set to open the games, a meager spot with little reward. Spartacus is insulted. Asher warns him not to underestimate Crixus and offers a gruesome tale of the Gargan twins, feral warriors slain only by Crixus. Spartacus scoffs at the story, calling Crixus a fraud. But Spartacus is already thinking. The next day he provokes Gnaeus into a reckless charge, causing the older man to knock himself unconscious on a dummy. Spartacus knows this may be his way into the Primus. That night, the grand reception begins. Crixus is on display like a prize stallion. Lucretia tries to impress Ilithyia with her emerald necklace, only to be undermined when Ilithyia calls it outdated. Looking to re-engage her guest's interest, Lucretia offers something more primal, a public sex show. Varro is made to perform with a slave girl in front of Capua's elite. He mutters an apology to Aurelia before mounting the girl. Ilithyia is thrilled. The trap is working, but Spartacus learns that despite Gnaeus' injury, he will not be given the Primus. That honor will go to another. So he acts. In the middle of Batiatus' speech, Spartacus launches himself at Crixus, starting a real brawl in front of the guests. Ilithyia cries out in joy. Batiatus sees the crowd's excitement and turns the chaos into marketing. Spartacus will now fight Crixus in the Primus. Later, Crixus finds Naevia alone and gifts her the very necklace Lucretia dismissed. Their connection deepens, though forbidden. In the barracks, the men share one last night together. They speak of Theokoles, the mythic shadow of death, a giant among gladiators. It is revealed that Doctor himself is the only man to have faced him and lived. The scar on his face confirms it. As dawn breaks, Varro exits the arena, victorious. Spartacus waits his turn. He no longer believes in the gods. He believes only in Sura. Inside the Pulvinus, Batiatus hypes up the match. Spartacus and Crixus enter to thunderous applause, but Spartacus charges early, violating protocol. For a moment, it seems he has the advantage, but Crixus regains control. He wounds Spartacus, overpowers him, and prepares for the killing blow. And then, Spartacus raises 2 fingers. He surrenders. The crowd turns. The magistrate scoffs. Batiatus saves face, allowing Spartacus to live. But the cost is steep. The crowd is disappointed. Ilithyia leaves unsatisfied. That night, back in the barracks, Spartacus removes his armor. Doctore appears. Spartacus admits he saw no weakness in Crixus. Doctore says there were many, if only Spartacus had the training to see them. And with that, Spartacus unties Sura's binding. The path to her has never felt further. With the events laid bare and every move accounted for, let us now step back and examine how well this episode truly fares, both in blood and in meaning. Rather than simply staging another round of blood and brawling, Legends elevates the series by asking a deeper question. What makes a gladiator a legend? This episode excels because it does not offer a simple answer. Some legends are earned in blood, like Doctore's silent testimony to facing Theokoles. Others are sculpted from half-truths and exaggeration, like Barca's supposed patricide or Ash's theatrical tale of the Gargan twins. But the show makes clear, in the arena, truth is less important than perception. At the heart of it all is Spartacus, who begins to understand that victory alone does not build a legacy. It is the myth that lingers in the minds of men. Ironically, the man who seeks no fame becomes the one the crowd whispers about most, not for strength, but for defiance, not for glory, but for survival. This is best captured in the episode's climax. After being outmatched by Crixus, Spartacus raises 2 fingers, the Missio, the formal plea for mercy. It is an act of humiliation, especially for a man like him who once scoffed at surrender, but it is also a calculated move. Spartacus does not surrender out of weakness. He does it to live, and by living, to fight again for Sura. That moment crystallizes the episode's core theme. Sometimes the only path to freedom is through shame. For a man like Spartacus, that truth cuts deeper than any blade, and yet he chooses it, because his love, his mission, outweighs his pride. Meanwhile, the supporting cast continues to shine. The bond between Spartacus and Varro grows more sincere. Lucretia and Ilithia's relationship simmers with manipulation and barely veiled lust. Crixus, both feared and mocked, is not simply a brute. He is a man trying to navigate power, honor, and forbidden love. Visually, the show retains its signature flair. The stylized combat, arena flashbacks, and freeze-frame mythologizing all reinforce the blurred line between fact and legend. The whole world of Capua feels like a stage, each fighter a role, each strike a performance. If the episode falters, it does so slightly in its use of sexual spectacle, particularly Varro's coerced performance. It underscores the themes of exploitation and control, but edges toward the excessive. Still, Legends is a triumph. It balances world-building with character depth, and action with emotional weight. It dares to suggest that even the strongest must sometimes kneel to rise. That surrender, when chosen with purpose, can be the most defiant act of all.